It's the rise and the fall of Miss New Zealand.
I want to love you, feel you, wrap myself around you. I want to squeeze you, please you. I just can't get enough. And if you move real slow, I let it go.
Those dance numbers, they were a little bit complicated.
Choreographer immediately picks people that can dance to put in the front line of any TV show.
So Lorraine and I both attended the Julie Cotter dance classes, and Lorraine was amazing, of course, and in the front row, brilliant dancer, the best dancer there. And I was always in the back row copying Lorraine.
The first rehearsal, they said, who can dance? And my hand shot up and I got in the front.
Many of them had dancing experience, and so they're taught to project.
We had prepared for it for the last month. We're about to walk out on stage and just dance our little hearts away.
We were quite lucky at Miss World. We didn't have to do any big dance number.
Wherever I know I go, she goes. Wherever I go, you know you go. Wherever I know, we both amigos, amigos.
I mean, what an absolute mindfuck.
Donny Osmond's singing to me was like a dream come true. When he started singing to me, just to me, of course, looking into my eyes just dreamily, and I was just sort of dreamily looking back at him. It really was just my absolute dream. And even then I thought, wow, I really have made it.
All the top models of New Zealand entered the competition. All the agents put them in the competition.
They say, right, we've entered you into Miss Universe New Zealand. I go, oh, have you? Okay.
It was almost like a rite of passage.
The majority of entrants were models.
Getting that sort of calibre of woman entering ensured that you had a really good quality contestant.
There are a few that weren't modelling, but not really. I think that's basically how they got the talent pool.
If you were doing modelling, they would say, into these competitions, you'll get more work, more things will happen. So you did that, and it was just the natural progression that you did.
I was training to be a nurse, and I had the choice of McDonald's wearing the funny hat and a hopeless hourly rate, or I can get $30 an hour as a new face for June Daly Watkins. So I went, no, I think I'm going to do modelling.
Of course, Sandy did very well at modelling. I was actually her model booker in the mid-80s, and she was very well known for being Miss New Zealand, which really helped her get her foot in the door when it came to being a full-time model.
She worked every single day, sometimes twice a day.
And of course, what made her different in regards to her beauty was she was a brown-eyed blonde, which is really quite unique.
She was a solid commercial model.
Somehow the years have just flicked by so quickly. It's hard to imagine it's been 40 years, really.
Miss Universe New Zealand 1982 is Sandy Dexter.
I really don't know what made me stand out. You're so critical of yourself. At that age, you're so critical of everything you do. And then looking back, I think, well, actually, I could have probably done that a lot worse. That's not too bad. I loved the idea of going to South America if I had managed to win it. So things like that travel, that experience overseas was what really beckoned me to do it. As far as all the millions that people imagine that you gain from it, that's just a really nice fantasy. Daihatsu presented me with a Daihatsu charade.
Instead of winning the competition and driving around in a beautiful car and having all these beautiful prizes, first thing she did was sold the car, sold the prizes, and put her money into property.
In 1982, the Miss Universe competition in Peru was a very dangerous affair, with bomb threats and kidnappings, and many of the girls wanted to pull out, but Sandy stuck it out.
Interest from the public was just phenomenal there in Lima. the crowds would be rocking the bus. It was really quite out there. So because we were oblivious to the bomb threats and things going on there, looking back, I can see that what we thought was just rather overzealous, people interested in the pageant, realised that there was actually some quite dangerous people. I was really excited to have the opportunity to crown Lorraine because I knew her from the modelling days as well. I just knew that she had that potential.
After Lorraine's triumphant win, the Miss New Zealand contest was at fever pitch, and most girls were dreaming of stardom. Sometimes the crownings went a little crazy, especially in 1984.
On this particular night, we were all there. We knew who was going to be first, second, and third. And Peter Sinclair read out the second place as the first, as the winner of the Miss New Zealand. And we sat there, David and I, and we just sort of looked at each other, and our tushes clenched, and we went, oh.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a most embarrassing task to perform. I've just read the list from the top down instead of from the bottom up. And the new Miss New Zealand 1984 is Miss Auckland, Barbara McDowell.
Peter was brilliant. He'd got himself out of that, but because it was live television, no delays, I'll never forget that. And David will never forget that either.
But then it did happen in Miss Universe and it did happen in Top Model, but it happened here first.
What was remarkable about Barbara is apart from winning Miss New Zealand, 3 years later she comes back as this mature, amazing woman and wins Mrs. World.
The first runner-up is Mrs. Mexico. New Zealand is our Mrs. World of 1987.
One of the most beautiful winners ever. I loved her as a model.
I was delighted because we'd had a number of lovely blue-eyed blondes, and here was this dark beauty, part Samoan, stunning looking.
But as Barbara developed, you must remember she actually got more beautiful.
She was the most amazing role model for people that thought they could never make it. And at that time, there was a lot of prejudice, and there was a lot of, if you've got an olive skin, you can't make it in the industry.
She had that very exotic look, almost like a young Bianca Jagger.
I just remember running up on stage and I put this fur coat on, and they all thought I was her mother. It was like running train length behind me on the stage, and I was on TV, actual TV with this fur coat on. I was so thrilled for her.
I mean, she'd been such a lovely Miss New Zealand, and here she was now much more worldly, much more confident.
Barbara McDowell winning Mrs. World, that is like, what the heck?
We were on a roll for sure. To me, she's probably one of the most special people that I've ever met through all of this.
It wasn't age they were looking for. They weren't looking for an older woman or a married woman with kids or somebody who's mowed the lawns more or bottled peaches like they said in the paper. They were looking for just perhaps even youth as well. And it was a straight out beauty pageant.
She was hot. I mean, seriously hot for a married woman.
Charm has a lot to do with things. You know, I've met lots of people in life, men and women, men who aren't particularly handsome, but they're very charming. And women, exactly the same. They're not beautiful, but they have an amazing personality. And so they come through as beautiful with their personality.
I did a lot of mall appearances and bookshop appearances with Alison Halls. For some reason, we were paired up and it was great fun. We would have a lot of people, young and old, coming to visit, and she'd be signing, I would be signing.
You're constantly working for your sponsors and doing the best you can for them.
It's not just about getting prettied up and getting your makeup done and standing on stage in a nice pretty dress and high heels.